How do you make someone deep in outer space feel down to earth? Project Hail Mary looks like a great film based on the trailer, and I'm going to break down exactly why using filmmaking techniques. And right off the start, the opening shot communicates so well the premise of the entire film. Our protagonist Ryan opens his eyes upside down. Not only does this hint he's in zero gravity, it also says the guy is literally in over his head. And he spends the rest of the story turning things around. The sets are a beautiful extension of Ryan's personality. Look, they match the colors in the set with his clothes, and even his hair. The colors are pretty much all organic, and everything feels kind of raw and gritty, like him. Look how the controls here wiggle around with his frantic handiwork. It's not polished or sterile like lots of other sci-fi ships. They have this vintage Star Wars 2001 feel because the ship is mostly lit from the lights within the set.
He spoke up from a coma.
The way Ryan talks on the ship isn't the normal way we imagine an astronaut communicating.
I'm several light years from my apartment.
He's whiny. And notice how he doesn't say he's several light years from Earth. No, from his apartment, keeping everything feeling intimate and real. The directors, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, worked on the Spider-Verse franchise. The author, Andy Weir, also wrote The Martian. And the scriptwriter, Drew Goddard, also wrote the screenplay for The Martian. So it's an all-star team of filmmakers who have a track record of making characters feel relatable. And the stronger the audience can relate to the characters, the more we connect with the story.
Why?
We don't know.
And then you've got all these scientists and other workers, all dressed work casual, slouching postures, also very relatable. Eva, who is responsible for the mission, is also very personable.
It's what you Americans would call a long shot.
She sounds just like my Scandinavian aunt. Look at this shot. How Ryan communicates his character arc with his body. What, me? Which is how I would react in a situation like that. It helps me feel that personal connection with him. This is also a great shot that communicates the isolation and the fear of the journey ahead. The film is shot by Greg Fraser, one of the most sought-after director of photographies in the industry. He just shot the first 2 Dune films, and here he does a great job with the low depth of field, meaning only parts of the frame are in focus, to make Ryan appear more distant. See how it's just him, and then everyone else. And then he's not even in the same shot. They cut back and forth between them and him, so I can feel his dread just from the camera work. And later on in the film, Fraser uses that same low depth of field out of focus between Ryan and Rocky to make them feel cozy and connected. This duality perfectly illustrates Ryan's central conflict, isolation and intimacy.
I put the knot in astronaut. I've never done a space. I can't even moonwalk.
Ryan makes these corny but relatable jokes during these tense moments to help ease the tension. And this shot tells a funny story. The evolution of man from apes, cutting to an anxious-looking Ryan with long primitive hair. It's like he's saying, what, millions of years of evolution and it all comes down to me? In fact, the transition leading up to this shot is a reverse of one of the most famous transitions of all time, from 2001's Space Odyssey, going from the ape bone to a spaceship. Look, this goes from a spaceship back to the apes. This is a historic moment. And here's another really effective transition.
So, I met an alien.
From him recoiling in fear to him just sitting down and starts talking. This has kind of been the theme throughout the trailer, turning a scary moment into a gag. But here's a genuine moment Ryan has with his students, throwing him that ball. And he carries that sweet connection he made with the students all the way to the biggest moment of human history. Look how literal this message is. He holds the future of the planet in his hand, and he's sharing that burden with Rocky. And he's clearly going through a relatable struggle.
Some people are not good at things.
And that quote, along with all of his upset faces up to this point, sets him up for this shot when he finally looks excited with Rocky. We really feel his character evolving. And that's reflected in the camera work, riding the wave of his wild energy with these fast camera moves. For all the big sci-fi spectacle, Project Hail Mary feels deeply intimate and personal. A guy far from home learning how to come back to himself. And that's why it looks like good science fiction and feels like great filmmaking. And I can't wait.